Welcome back, YouTube. If you don't know by now, my name is Marcos. I do fragrance content and signature scent consultation. Today we're going over my fragrance wish list as an aesthetic dipper. Now let's start this video off by going over what an aesthetic dipper really is and what it means. So to me, an aesthetic dipper is somebody who doesn't really fit a stereotype of any aesthetic, vibe, energy, and can sort of just fit or dip into any of them at any given moment, anytime, any day. A good example would be like if I chose to listen to My Chemical Romance all day and wear Heretic's Nosferatu, and the next day listen to Sabrina Carpenter and wear something like Goldfield Bank Sunset Hour. The very drastic switch between super sort of gothic, emotional, emo, of course, to very bright, bubbly, poppy, fruity scents. All right, so now that we've actually talked about what an aesthetic dipper is, at least to me, let's get into the real guts of the video and talk about the fragrance wish list. So this wish list has about 10 fragrances slash groupings of fragrances because one of these is the brand as a whole and another one is 3 together from the same brand. But either way, we're gonna cut this down into 4 categories. The first one is gonna be stuff you can find in Dillard's, Macy's, Neiman Marcus, being your very mainstream fragrances. The second is going to be the next level of that, where you're going to find it in your fragrance boutiques and shops that specialize in indie slash niche perfumery, stuff like your Orto Parisi or your, I guess Zaharoff would barely fit into that, you know, your Zoologist type of stuff, that sort of section, which 2 of those brands are going to be in this video. Then we're going to take a step lower and go into the stuff that you might possibly find in there, but you're more than likely just going to see it online, and that's the only place to really get it. And then our last section is stuff that you can only get online. They are not sold in stores anywhere, and the only way to try them is to actually order samples from the companies. We're going to start with the more popular fragrances and trail off more and more niche as we go on. Starting at our first category of mainstream fragrances is going to be Maison Margiela's entire Replica memory line, not the dream ones, but specifically When the Rain Stops, Bubble Bath, and Beach Walk. Let's talk about them. So we're gonna start with When the Rain Stops, which is genuinely one of my favorite fragrances of all time, and of course my favorite from the brand. There's just something about it that's so different from any other fragrances that you can sample or be interested in try it all at any mainstream source. It's so unique to the public eye until you get into niche perfumery and you understand, oh, petrichor is a thing, and that whole aesthetic and vibe that it wants to bring up is a super popular, like, niche in the niche of things that people love and enjoy so much, and it's the easiest access slash designer version of it that I just can't get enough of. The next one we're going to talk about is Bubble Bath, which I originally hated when I first smelled it. Something about it was just so annoying and headache inducing. And over time, as my nose continued to develop and I learned more about fragrances as a whole, and notes specifically, I learned tea scents are some of my favorite ones, being like, of course, Bubble Bath, Oolong Cha. You're gonna see another tea fragrance later on near the end of this video. The opening to imagination is so nice, although I don't like to dry down, unfortunately, but like teas as a whole are so interesting and enjoyable notes-wise that when I continue to smell it more and more, that clean soapy tea is so good. The last one we're going to talk about, of course, is Beach Walk, which originally started as just a run-of-the-mill summery scent to me whenever I first tried it. There wasn't anything that stood out, and one day when I was working at Ross, this is way back, some lady was looking at the fragrances and saw that there was a 30 ml plus the 100 ml refill for $60. And she, of course, asked the worker, would you recommend this? He said he didn't know. And of course, I had to stupidly speak up and say, if you don't get it, I will. And every time since that, I've tried it and tried it and tried it and loved it each time more and more. Something about that salty, sweet scent is just irresistible come summertime, and I think one of the perfect beach scents. Of course, the name helps, but actually scent-wise, it's top tier. For our second actual fragrance, it's going to be Parfums de Marly Castley. Something about it is so amazing with how fresh and clean, with this great punch of black pepper in the opening, and it just has such refreshing, clean dry down that's very linear, but does all it needs to do, to where it's not doing too much and it does just enough at the same time. Another one from PDM I've been really enjoying recently is Percival. Just, again, another clean, soapy fragrance. And don't get me started on Altair and Layton because I hate them. The last one I could possibly say from PDM, as of right now, from the men's line at least, is Haltane. Another great one, and I love that as one of my favorite ouds. And rounding out this mainstream, super popular, I guess you could say, sort of category is Killian's Black Phantom, which originally I didn't care for much, as I was a super diehard glazer of Angel Share. Whenever I had first gotten into fragrances, it was easily my favorite type of scent. I love the cognac, boozy scents, and over time, I've definitely lost that love. I've started to love the other, like, more rummy, tropical boozy scents, and the cognacs are still gonna hit just the same, but it's just not doing as much now that I've widened my mind as a whole. But something about Black Phantom, I don't remember even which liquor it is, but the tobacco and almost chocolatey, smoky scent from it is intoxicating. Of course, it helps coming from the name, but it's genuinely intoxicating and always wants me smelling more. It just sucks that I've never actually had a sample of it and I've only ever tried it in stores. But don't worry, that full bottle will come, and I will make sure to get it with the coffret so it matches some of the other stuff I have. All right, getting into our second category is the stuff you can find in more niche perfumeries and fragrance stores that specialize in having indie and, of course, niche fragrances. This first one is Orto Parisi's Cuoium. I'm not sure how to say it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If not, either way, it's this bottle right here. It's got that leathery outside, and it's such a good take on the animalic version of the oud that you don't even really notice it's an oud, or at least I don't. I get more smooth, seductive, leathery, like almost sweet and like punchy version of the oud that's not super overbearing to my nose, and I don't know what about it is, but it's just so, it's perfect. It's the perfect oud to me. The next up on the list is Zoologist Snowy Owl, which is, of course, the cleanest, freshest, iciest scent you can get, at least from this list. And I don't know what it is, but I believe it's the sweet grass in it. It's so refreshing without smelling like a drink or smelling aquatic or salty or fruity. It's just pure ice, clean, slightly sweet, and I believe this could be the perfect office or sort of clean guy scent if worn on the right person. And once again, we're rounding out this category, this time with a very gothic scent coming from the brand Heretic, Voodoo Lily, which, just like the name, is a very lily-based fragrance. It's one of my favorite white florals of all time, and it might be my favorite fragrance of all time, at least as of the past couple of days, because every time I smell it, it's so clean and yet musky and enticing and floral, and it is easily one of my favorite on the list, and it might be my favorite as a whole. It's so good that I even wore it today as my scent of the day just to match this video, because of course having this list, having a wish list, means you got to have at least one of these samples lying around, which I do have multiple. I have all the Maison Margielas, I have this one, and I have, actually those are the only ones I have from this list. The others I've mostly tried. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 I've never tried, and those are the next categories that aren't available in stores or nowhere at least nearby me. Next, we're going into our third category of the super niche stuff with brands that, are much smaller to where you could just message the creator of the brand and they'll most likely respond. This first one being Zaharoff Bloom, which based on the notes is a very white floral, sort of clean girl scent, to where it's got a lot of course, like I said, white florals and just seems smooth and so easy and so effortlessly elegant, at least of course based on the notes and all the reviews I've seen. This next one comes from a brand with some of the prettiest bottles, or at least most aesthetically pleasing bottles I've ever seen, being Arielle Shoshana. I believe that's how it's said. If it's not, feel free to correct me. I'd love to be totally proved wrong and corrected. That's totally fine with me. But this scent is Monday, which is, again, how I've been seeing the notes and the reviews, a very smooth and refreshing tea scent, which, of course, I talked about earlier. We still have one more tea scent, though. Something about it just seems to, of course, fit the idea of a Monday great, having your nice tea, refreshing, because tea scents always smell like morning to me. I don't know, something about it, just tea scent always equals morning to me. But it just seems like a smooth, rising morning that you don't really want to go in. You want to stay home and sleep in, but it's just sort of uplifting and pushing you to keep going. For this last/fourth category, we're going to be going over some stuff that you can only get straight from the producer, company, brand, or whatever you want to call it. First up being that last tea scent, which is Astra's or Astré, I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, Luminior or Luminior, however they said it. I believe I heard Jason, the creator, say it the other day, but I can't remember it, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong on pronunciation. I like to get that stuff right when I'm actually reviewing it, which hopefully could be soon based on, if I'm able to get it. Either way, it's all I've described, all I've seen, all I've looked at is that it's another clean tea fragrance, except all I've heard is that this is the best ever one. And if you have imagination, drop it, because this is a million times better. And that entices me so much to hear, especially being that it's a smaller brand where you can talk directly to the creator about the whole thought process and why it is what it is. For this last one, we have our last and only entire brand for the wish list. They only have 5 fragrances as of right now, and I have been talking to the creator, or at least the owner, trying so hard to get them to work with me and send me something out, because the aesthetic of this brand is so cool. And it's not just like, oh, they have a nice theme. Their bottles fit so well with very beautiful and detailed pictures of for the fragrances, and the notes that they have are so interesting as well. This, of course, being Ghost Stories Perfumery. And I'm going to give a quick rundown of each of their 5 fragrances. First up being the Hitchhiker, which has special notes like forest fog and raspberry, which is supposed to be a sweet, smoky scent, and it sounds amazing. There's also one, I believe it's called Saint Peach or Saint of a Peach. It's supposed to be, of course, peach, sort of drinky, candy-esque, but not too candy, just sweet in the peach realm, and that sounds, again, amazing. Next up is their sort of Halloween-themed sort of fragrance, which is Harvest Moon, and it's very much inspired by the whole Sleepy Hollow, Headless Horseman story. It's so exciting. They're all so exciting. Another one is, of course, Marly, which is a Christmas themed, of course, banging on Marly from A Christmas Carol. Of course, his friend, I need to stop saying of course, that's getting really annoying. But his partner slash friend that haunts him, it's a very Christmassy scent. I believe that has figgy pudding accord is one of the notes, which is so cool. But the last one definitely has one of the most interesting notes. This one is called Roseblood. It has blood as one of the accords or notes, and then of course rose. I think it's definitely one of the more interesting fragrances. Of course, Marly having the most interesting note being figgy pudding accord, but the brand as a whole just seems so cool. Although I don't think they really have a super summery scent besides maybe St. Peach. Everything else seems like genuinely some of the best wintry or cold weather types of scents you could imagine, and I would love to work with them so bad. Well guys, with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that and turn notifications on. I post every Monday, and there's probably gonna be a couple more posts coming soon since I'm finally moving in this upcoming Monday that this video is being posted on. I'm super excited. We're gonna go ahead and go on live on TikTok whenever we're setting up the setup. It's not gonna be a live one, but whatever. And then we're gonna post a whole YouTube video going over the entire setup once we're moved in. There's just so much content we have coming soon, and we're gonna get a huge overflow being pushed out into the content world. Again, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe, put on notifications on, just like I said. If you're interested in more short form content or seeing those TikToks, I believe my link is in my bio. If not, my name is gonna be right here, which I'll sound it out for you or say it, of course. It's gonna be Marcos_car_frags. Pretty much just the same as my YouTube name, except it has 2 underscores in there, sort of separating out the words because they didn't have this name available on TikTok. And if you're interested in getting fragrance for cheaper than they normally come, heavily discounted, go to Incentives Perfumes and use my code, again, Marcos_car_frags, for at least $5 off. And of course, I'm gonna make commission off of that, which helps these videos get better and better and better each time. But they have fragrances like Nishane, all the way down to Dolce & Gabbana, you know, because they have some cheaper designers, all the way up to even having City Rhythm. They have such a large selection of things because there's genuinely well over 100 brands on their website, all, you know, have most of their lines, whatever it may be, whatever line it may be, they're gonna have most things. There's, of course, gonna be some missing because that's hard to do. But again, if you're trying to get cheaper fragrances than retail, go to Incentives Perfumes and use my code, Marcos_car_frags. Anyways, I'll see y'all next week, YouTube.